Welcome back to the Mogul Mission. It's Jabrad Davies, and you already know I'm hustling with the Mogul Mission. Today we have Mr. Christopher Thomas. A networking guru, expert. And one thing I know about it is they know how to put a great networking event together. So I really appreciate you coming on the platform. And how you doing today?
Man, I'm grateful and thankful. Thank you for asking. It's wonderful to be on the internationally known Mogul Mission as well. It's a wonderful platform that you've created and pivoted, and it's a platform for entrepreneurs to be able to have dialogue, to learn from one another as well. So thank you for inviting me on.
Oh man, thank you. And like what I like to start at is kind of like the beginning. Like when it comes to becoming an entrepreneur, we all know that it's a day where you make that decision to take that risk. So kind of tell us a little bit about how you started your journey being an entrepreneur.
I was thinking about that on the way to you, and I and that will really tell my why, as far as entrepreneurship and why I chose the space of marketing, branding, and public relations. So I'm a third generation contractor, so I was raised with a hammer in my hand. I was raised with a hammer in my hand, and and also not only third generation contractor, but also third generation entrepreneur. So on one end, on my right hand, I had a hammer, and then in my left hand, I grew up with hair shears, because on my mother's side of the family, not only was her father in the construction space, but he also raised a son who ventured off into the space of the beauty industry. And he was able, through his success, he was able to help some of his brothers to get into the beauty space as well. And they found a tremendous amount of success, doing that. So I was surrounded by entrepreneurs. I grew up thinking, everyone owned businesses. That's what we were supposed to do. I did not know during the time when I was about, 12 years old, 15 years old, the word entrepreneur. I simply knew that, hey, we start businesses, and that was I thought that's what I thought, everyone was supposed to have done. But it wasn't until a little bit older that I began to understand or know the term entrepreneur. I would hear some people call me a young entrepreneur. Didn't know really what that was. I grew up during a time where there was no internet. At least internet was only, something that businesses had during a time. They had a way of communicating. The internet really didn't become popular until shortly, after I had grown and matured a little bit more. So, the access that we have to internet and social media and platforms, as far as training platforms, even like the platform of what we have now with Mogul Mission, we didn't have that. And so I had to learn a lot of what I don't like to do now, which is trial and error. I try not to do trial and error. Work hard. I encourage our clients not to do trial and error. Trial can take too long, and error can be fatal. And I repeat that: trial can take too long, and error can be fatal. So there are too many other people and examples that are around us. They may not have done exactly what we're doing, but it leaves a trail, to where we can be able to understand and we can get to things faster and quicker. And I do believe, because of my history as an entrepreneur and my tremendous amount of failures in finding my own way, through entrepreneurship and business, is the reason why our clients are ultimately successful that we work with. that's why the networking events that we produce, they add so much value to those who are attending. That is successful for them. You know, it adds value to them because of the failures that we've had to encounter. You know, myself personally. So going back to the question about, you know, my path of entrepreneurship, that's how I started. And so coming a few years up, I started working at the age of 12 on a construction site. You know, as I mentioned, I was had a hammer in my hand, and at the age of 15, I decided to, you know, start my own business, which was a janitorial company. And the name of that business was Dirt Penitentiary. And our tagline is, "We're locking all the scum up." Okay. And a buddy of mine who's a better artist, you know, than I am, a visual artist, he and I collaborated to create this little creature, and it looked like a piece of dirt, and it was a creature. And then, you know how in the 30s and if you watch movies from like the 30s, 40s, and 50s, when they had the chain and ball tied on to someone who was in prison. So that's what we had, a chain and ball connected to this little creature. And so we created this design, you know, to fit along with the business. Not knowing at that particular point, it was my first demonstration of what I was really good at. You know, it was planting a seed inside of me for my creative side, to be able to create a business, give it a purpose, give it a why, you know, as far as what's happening, and then it was able to excel and to move forward. So that's where I found my why, you know, as far as starting that particular business. That's where I captured my why. And so, you know, one thing about creating businesses and branding and marketing, even though there's a strategy to it all, there's a creative side, and I've been able to tap into my creative side of things to be able to use something that was a talent that was of mine in order to help other businesses and to add value to other businesses, business owners, and creators, you know, as well. So moving ahead a little bit, so I was able to, that business was at 15, started that. I went into, when I was at the age of, I ended that right after graduation of high school. And, you know, that went incredibly well. So that was how my entrepreneurial started as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, and adding value and bringing me to what I do professionally today, you know, over the past 28 years. I've been in the space of marketing and branding, so that's it.
Okay, and one thing I know that you were talking about your why,
yeah,
and failures. So when it comes to your why and failures, like when do you come to like that? When did you come to that moment where you kind of had to pivot and then go in the direction that you're going, where you're like, okay, you might have saw some in your contracting area, but then you saw that the need for branding could pretty much open you up to a whole new world of opportunities.
Yeah. So I've pivoted so many times, you know, over the years. You know, one thing that when I think about pivot, I also think about refining. You know, so we're always having to refine. I also think about the word reinvent. You know, reinvent, because, you know, as time goes by, and the access to information, you know, as well comes about, you know, things are moving very, very quickly right now, you know, and it's very loud, you know, and so there are times when we have to reinvent, you know, ourselves, our businesses, and it doesn't necessarily mean changing up the look and feel, or creating a whole new website, or adding an extensive amount of funds or resources and time into an effort to reinvent. A reinvent could also look like simply taking a product or service and disrupting another industry to take that particular product to add value to that particular industry that no one's ever used before. It could look like a revamp of a website, as well. It could look like adjusting of the core values or the mission statement, as well. So you're pivoting, refining, reinventing. I kind of associate, all of that together, and it's important that we all do that periodically, to do that. So, and that's one big thing that, as a marketing and consultant and firm owner, we encourage our customers to do, quite often, at least once a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And with your networking events, another keyword was the value. So when I noticed at the networking event, even myself, I was able to meet different people that I know I'll probably be working with in the near future. So I think that's kind of like taking advantage of the opportunity of being in a room full of like-minded individuals. How do you feel the importance is of networking and collaborating?
Listen, networking and collaborating is incredibly important. Reason being is because we get a chance to get feedback. We get a chance to understand, what others are doing, that either works or didn't work for them, as well. So we can get that particular feedback too. And then just think about, if they're larger conglomerate companies, who are much larger, hundreds of millions, upwards of billions of dollars, that collaborate with one another, even competitors. I mean, it's interesting when you can have a Shell and an Exxon, or a Chevron and a BP to collaborate on an effort. I mean, those people are in similar spaces. They're multiple billion dollar brands. If they can collaborate, why not solopreneurs, startups, mom and pops? Because we could combine efforts and resources together, that helps us to become stronger. We can move quicker, as well. So networking is incredibly important, especially, and the great thing about Network and Chill is that, the mission of it is to encourage collaboration amongst and serve as a value for disadvantaged professionals, business owners, and also small veteran-owned small businesses that is as well. So to provide a resource and an outlet, for them, and to add value. So that's the reason why, Network and Chill, was created.
Okay. And with the networking and chill, like as you were building, obviously you were collaborating with other people. How did you end up expanding into other cities?
Great question. So, as you can see, I'm a black male. And so one of the things that we wanted to do is I went to another black male who was in a similar space that I'm in. And he actually owns a magazine called Gumptown Magazine. And so at this particular point today, as we're recording this, we're at the end of year 2 of Network and Chill. So when we first started this over 2 years ago, coming up with the concept, I pitched it to the publisher of Gumptown Magazine. Black male, also in marketing, as well. To see 2 black males in similar businesses come together, that we we wanted to, the goal was to put our interests and efforts into what we're sharing with encouraging other folks to do, set the example. And I do believe that that was one of the instrumental successes, of Network and Chill to get it started and kicked off. We tested it for a year, and then after the success of 1 year of testing, we decided, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move this into other markets such as Atlanta and also Birmingham, because the initial start was Montgomery, Alabama.
Okay.
And so we moved to launch into Atlanta and Birmingham, and also in addition to Montgomery. And as we were launching, due to some personal reasons, Jamal with Gumptown Magazine, even though they still support, he wasn't able to be as hands-on. So with the expansion of Network and Chill. However, he is and will be forever a part of the Network and Chill platform and everything that we create. He's very much, appreciated. So what I decided to do is through prayer and through the networking, I said, well, who could be a good fit, to expand this brand with? Because I did not want to do it alone, because it will help to magnify the mission, of what we were doing. And so early part of Network and Chill, we interviewed Gilberto Herrera, and he and I created a good relationship, as a result of that. He has seen firsthand the successes. He's experienced a tremendous amount of success by being interviewed on Network and Chill. It's a help to expand his brand and his relationships. And so I went to him and talked to him about it and asked that he want to be a part of it. We discussed it, and over a period of time after discussion, we came to a very affirmative agreement. And so we decided we put the first one together, which was Atlanta for 2024. Atlanta, we put a schedule for Atlanta, Birmingham, and Montgomery, and it worked tremendously. We were able to combine our talents, combine our skill sets, combine our resources and contacts to use to expand into those particular areas. And so tremendous amount of wonderful feedback. We've helped so many, business owners, as well. People have found value out of it. And moving into year number 3, we're actually expanding again. So in addition to Atlanta, Birmingham, Montgomery, we are adding on Huntsville and Charlotte. And so, we're actually, this is the first time we publicly will be saying this on the Mogul Mission platform. No one else has heard it as of yet so we're sharing an exclusive with Mogul Mission platform and to your listeners about the expansion of Network and Chill. And so 2025, we will have Atlanta, Birmingham, Charlotte, Huntsville, and Montgomery as far as the Network and Chill. We have a few other things that are happening as well. That part of it is a little too early to talk about. However, I would love to, I'd love to Mogul Mission to be the first to get that information as well once we legalize, all of that. So I see that happening in the first quarter of January 2025. And I like to timestamp things because it depends on when people are listening and hearing this, they can kind of get an idea about the progress, because I see your platform, helping people, 10, 20 years and further down the line. So I'm excited about being a part, of Mogul Missions and to be able to share my talents.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And I want to ask you another thing before we go, like with the expansion, the collaboration, the adding the value. Um, how important is it building a team?
The team is incredibly important. You know, I was in a workshop a few days ago, and there were so many pieces of information from that workshop, and these are from some superstar consultants, business consultants who they are in the business of creating unicorn companies. You know what I mean? Unicorn companies. These are companies that are excess of billions, you know, as far as in revenue. And so I was in that workshop, and one of the things that really stuck out, you know, in my mind by listening was that every team member, every individual, from C-level exec over to the assistant, over to the mailroom person, should be able to equate to $350,000 of revenue for a business. And I thought about that for a moment. You know, now it doesn't mean that the mailroom individual or the assistant is going to go out and sell. However, it shows, the support that when you bring all of this together, everyone having certain assignments and roles, how important that role is for that particular business. So when I thought about that, I'm like, wow. So that was one of the key things that many entrepreneurs, growing business. I don't like the term small business. But you know, we hear it often. I like to use the term growing business. So when I say growing businesses, you know what I'm speaking about. You know, growing businesses, you know, it's not until we realize that part and then we're able to understand the importance of having a good team. Because in all reality, what that is saying is that without support, without a team, it's going to be almost impossible for an individual to make over $350,000 of revenue into their business just simply by themselves. Now, this day and age, you have the internet, and you have social media, you have digital, right? So, however, some people say, well, you got influencers who are making, you know, $1 million plus, you know, a month, or, you know, a multi-million a year. Yes, they do. However, they're still not doing it alone. They may be selling a product that is being drop shipped from another company, and they're getting paid a commission. So that means they have a product that's already established. Someone else is handling the shipping, and they're being paid a commission after every transaction. And your sole responsibility of that influencer is to ensure that you get on and influence and engage with your audience. That's your one role. That's why that one role, you're able to create that amount of income, because you're not doing it by yourself. It's a collaborative effort. You have your team, right? So not until we realize that particular part and get our egos, you know, aside, sit down and let's do more listening than we're talking, and collaborating, and everything may not fit, you know, during the time period that, you know, say, well, my idea never gets, you know, taken. You know, that's okay. It may not necessarily fit at that particular point. You know, it may be too early for that particular idea. Or there could be something else that happens, that comes up, that that we have to put that idea on hold, or that idea was a good idea, but it's no longer good anymore. We had to pivot. We may wake up one day and, fine example, we woke up one day and shut the world down. It was COVID. And it changed everything up. Everyone, it's almost like, we have a good structure and a good framework. It's almost like flying a plane and having to build it at the same time. So as long as we have a good foundation, and have a team, we'll be able to pivot, we'll be able to reinvent, we'll be able to refine, get better, and make the changes that are needed, in our business to take things to next level. So a team is incredibly important. Networking is incredibly important, as well. And collaboration is incredibly important. And that's actually at the core of everything that we do. And I want to share one other thing, if I can. So our marketing agency is called INMM Group, INMM Group. And so we're a branding, marketing, and public relations agency. Now, under that particular agency, we have what's called In-City Magazine. We created In-City Magazine brand at this particular point, this day, a little over 10 years ago. And In-City is actually an acronym, INCITY. And it stands for the core values of INMM Group, our marketing agency. In-City, the acronym, the I is for inclusion, the N is for nurturing, the C is for collaboration, the I is for integrity, the T is for trust, and the Y is for yielding. Now, when we created this particular created In-City as a result of those acronyms, that was about 10 years ago. And we wanted to the goal is to stay true to that core value. Everything that we talk about, everything that we support, everything that we do, we want to talk about. We want to ensure that, our message, what we stand for, what we collaborate on, what clients we bring on, are in line with our core values and our mission. Stand true to it, because if not, we have just, for either, whether if it's $100 to $100 million, and it gets tougher because the higher it gets, because if in the event that we're not true to our core values, our mission, and we accept something that pays $100 million, yeah, that was a good payday, but what was the result of that payday to jeopardize the integrity of our brand? And so a lot of people don't think about that particular part, and it makes me think about so many other celebrities. I think about Dave Chappelle, as well, when he turned down a tremendous amount of cash because it didn't make him feel good about what he stood for. People didn't understand that at the time, but it was his brand. And look at him today. He stood true to it, and his following is larger than ever. Is larger. And so he, as they say, he stood on business.
Yeah, right.
He stood on business. So we're the same way about our brand. And in all reality, we're still, even though I've been an entrepreneur for close to 30 years now, and our business has been around for about 20, 21 years, in all reality, that's still very, very young, it's compared to, the hundreds of years that other businesses have been around, and the access to revenue that they have. We're working very, very hard, for our brand. And I'm happy to have, that we have access to platforms to like Mogul Mission, to Network and Chill, to be able to add value to folks and to be able to help keep them encouraged, inspired, motivated, as well. All of it is important, and if we look at it, it's giving everyone the opportunity to show that, hey, we can do this. We can do this, and that's what's important these days to keep people inspired and motivated, because entrepreneurship is definitely not easy. Mm-hmm. It's not easy. I even encourage folks who are working a job to shift their mindset. A lot of people think about entrepreneurship being an action. Entrepreneurship is actually a mindset. Yeah, it's a mindset. So I encourage even an individual who has a job to have an entrepreneurial mindset. Treat that one job that you have as your one client. And if you do that, I don't care where it is. If it's McDonald's, if it's on the one of the S&P 500 companies, I don't care who it is, where it is, who you're working for, because there's a big difference in someone at McDonald's who's taking out the trash, which is a very important role, to McDonald's, taking out the trash. That is very important. Taking out the trash. I'm not minimizing this by stating this as an example. However, there's a big difference in someone who is taking out the trash, who's doing it with a frown on their face, versus the one who's taking out the trash and whistling while they work. So I was just talking to a young woman coming in just a moment ago. She shared with me, when she introduced herself to me, she said, hi, I'm so-and-so and so. I'm just the assistant. I had to stop in my past and encourage that young woman who's an intern. I shared with her, I said, sweetheart, I said, hold on one second. She was very hospitable. She wanted to make sure I got the water, and the coffee and everything else. I said, sweetheart, I said, one second. I said, it's great that you're here early in the morning, welcome me at the door. I said, but what you're doing is incredibly important to the operation of making this run smoothly. So, please take that word just out of your vocabulary as you're describing yourself and what you're doing, to the business. I said, the moment we put just in front of or only in front of something, it's minimizing what we do. Now, there are times when we want to maybe use the word just or only. If we're trying to make a sale, if our goal is to make a sale, and and the sale and the product is $500 or $1,000, we may want to use the word just or only, right? It's just $500. We can spread that out over 3 months or whatever it is, right? Yeah. So we can use that. But when we're describing ourselves, we don't want to describe ourselves and also while we're describing ourselves, include the word just or only. That minimizes it, because what we do is a very important role, is an important part of the team. So we have to, that's a part of the mindset. That's a part of the psyche, the psychology of entrepreneurship that unfortunately is not taught in grade school. It's not taught in secondary universities or colleges. Those are things that an individual has to learn along the way, unfortunately. So there are some professors, I actually instruct a course myself, and whenever I hear the entrepreneurs who are talking that particular way, I immediately start to help them shift their mindset, on that. And then once they think about it, they say, wow, that is so much truth to that. And and I often get feedback as far as what that one shift has helped them to be able to pivot, to excel into areas that they weren't even aware of. Know that that's what one of the things that they were missing. So and to have a team, we can also keep each other encouraged, because we need encouragement. I had a mentor to tell me one day, some years ago. He said, "Chris, who do you think needs encouragement?" And I kind of went down a list of a few different things, and he mentioned to me, anyone who's breathing. Anyone who's breathing. So we all need encouragement. I don't care how things may appear, or may be portrayed. We all need encouragement. And so, that's a part of our mission. That's the problem. That's part of the reason why we exist. We add value to our clients, creating brands that will help elevate their voices, so that other folks will be aware of their brands and what they do, as a business. So we incorporate that not only to our company, incorporate that into the Network and Chill platform and everything that we associate with.
All right, that was great. And man, let the people know how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, so I guess for the most part, I've tried to stay consistent with the handle. It's C Thomas, ITSCTHOMAS. You can find me that on Instagram, also on YouTube, and on TikTok. That's if TikTok is still around in the U.S. In this particular way. There are talks about that, so we'll find that out the first part of the year. And then you can also search Christopher D. Thomas, as well. You'll find that on LinkedIn. And our company's website, in the event that you'd like to take advantage of we have a tremendous amount of complimentary information about marketing, branding, public relations on our website, which is nmm.group, INMM.group, GROUP. And so we hope that it can provide a tremendous amount of help to your viewers and anyone who's taking a look at it.
All right, man. Thank you, Mr. Christopher Thomas, for coming on the Mogul Mission platform. We really appreciate it. You dropped a lot of gems. You gave the platform a lot of value today, and I really appreciate it, and salute to everything you do.
All right, thank you. And salute to Mogul Mission. I can't wait to thank you for the invitation. I look forward to coming back. And next time we bring some other folks back with me.
Okay, that'll be great.
All right.